All right, friends, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and side hustlers. For all of you who have someday dreamt of going from entrepreneur, startup, side hustler to eventually becoming a real CEO and actually creating, a business that runs itself, that increases its value, we've got a special guest on for you today. We've got Dena Patton, who is a coaching and really kind of the back end foundation of successful CEOs across this country. So she's the owner and founder of Dena Patton Coaching and Training. She's been an elite business and mindset coach for the last 20 years. She's worked with thousands of world-changing, purpose-driven entrepreneurs to help them become a great CEO as they build their business, revenue, impact, and leadership. She helps business owners to transform three key areas we're going to talk about today of business: from good to great, CEO leadership and mindset, branding, marketing, sales, elevation, and internal systems. So a lot of key areas that we're going to go over today. Some more background. She sold her first business in New York City in 1999. She helped to build that tech company until 2001. Then after 9/11 happened, she became the spokesperson for the 9/11 Project in collaboration with the Pentagon and New York City Mayor's Office. In 2001, she opened her coaching and training company and has coached thousands of entrepreneurs and has inspired over 150 audiences around the globe with her keynote speaking and retreats. She's garnered 8 business awards and over 60 media stories, including CNN, Entrepreneur Magazine, First Women, NBC, and Business Journal. Her #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Greatness Game, which I'm going to be buying today, inspires entrepreneurs to shift from playing smallness games to playing greatness games. Dena believes that mental toughness, we're going to talk a lot about that today, and a greatness mindset are the most important and fundamental skill sets for success, no matter what industry you're in. Dena, man, I'm really excited to ask you a lot of great questions today.
There are over 32 million businesses in the US, and over 90% of them will never break 7 figures in annual sales. So how do we as entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs break into that 7 figures club? This podcast will relentlessly share the secrets, strategies, and tactics I've used to create 3 multi-7 figures businesses and bring in even more successful entrepreneurs than me to share their inspirational stories and tactics to success. You can create your dream business and life right now. So buckle up and let's go.
I'm ready. I'm excited about being here.
Well, perfect. Well, let's kind of start with the beginning here. When, as you're going, through childhood and getting into your career, what is it that kind of leads you down that path of entrepreneurship? What are some of the key events that made you realize, there's something to being your own boss. There's something to, having the freedom to decide your own destiny. What were some of those key events that led you to entrepreneurship?
I had a lot of dreams, and, when you're young, I think you can jump off the cliff a lot easier than when you're 50. And, at 21, I jumped off my first cliff, and 22. And I just thought, the freedom and the excitement of playing your own game was really exciting for me. And I wasn't scared of risk. That was one of, again, at 21, I think that's to your advantage. But I actually went to school for film and thought I was going to have a whole life and career in film. I still love film, but I dreamt of moving to New York City and running my own production company. And at 21, I moved to New York City, and it changed a little bit. Once I got into the entertainment industry, what I actually fell in love with, it's similar to film, is it's the storytelling. And I can look back at every single thing I've ever done, and there's an element of storytelling to it that I think is really magical and powerful. So in film, you're telling stories, but in PR and marketing, you're telling people stories. And I actually started working for a PR and marketing company in New York City for the entertainment industry and thought, I can do this. So I started my own agency in PR and marketing and really served film, Broadway, and TV industry for a few years. And at 27, I sold that business, and that became actually it was the first year of the internet. So tell my age a little bit, but got a knock on the door and said, there's something coming and it's called the internet and it's going to put you out of business. And I thought, you know what, this is a great time to sell. And I sold. I was able to negotiate me and my employees to go on to that tech company, because here's the thing, when something innovates, if you're not on that train, you lose out. And nobody was on that train. Nobody knew this world of internet. And I thought, you know, this is a really good opportunity to get paid a lot of money to be inside of this thing called a startup. And I was director of marketing there for a year. We went global, got 70,000 paid members in the first year, which was pretty unheard of in the first year.
That's remarkable.
And, you know, I got all that inspiration and wisdom, and started this business a year later. And I've been doing it ever since, and I've never worked for someone ever again.
Well, that's fascinating. So how long were you working at a digital kind of a PR firm, marketing agency, before you said, all right, I've got this figured out. I can do it better. I can create better solutions for my clients. I'm going to go and start my own?
3 years.
So about 3 years. And what gave you the courage to be like, hey, I'm ready. Age 24, it sounds like, and I'm going to dive off the deep end and start this. And a few quick questions. How did you fund it? How did you, know that you had the right solutions to compete in the marketplace at 24?
Yeah. And in New York City.
And
before the internet, it was all word of mouth. So, I had a good reputation, which, knowing yourself and who you are, your integrity, the results I was producing, people liked and trusted me. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't with the company I was working with, they trusted me. And so, there was a couple clients that said, if you ever went on your own, give me a call. And, when people say that, it kind of gives you that courage to jump off that cliff. And so that I self-funded it. Before I had employees, it was just me, and the trust and the reputation. And I'll tell you, it was a lot of hustle. It was a lot of 14, 15-hour days, which did catch up to me. But managing your capacity when you're, a young entrepreneur, a new founder, you just maybe left corporate and now you're starting your thing, those hours, it can really pull on you. So I would just say, side note, be aware of that self-care, that CEO self-care that is really important, especially in those first 2 years. But, I'd say that trust my brand, who I was, my integrity, my reputation. And I'll tell you, back then, we didn't have the internet. The New York Times was really the thing. If you were,
it was gospel back then.
It was gospel.
All the way over here in Utah, it was.
Yeah. So that, there wasn't a lot of innovation when it came to marketing back then. It just was, if you were in the New York Times, like that was gold. And we can't think like that. We have to think out of the box. There were so many other things that we could have done, which I did, which is why, people knocked on my door and said, I want to buy your business. So that, all those things put together. And again, back to my personality, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs have, is that excitement of jumping off the cliff. Like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make it happen. It was exciting.
And so in a very short period of time, you start to hire employees, you're building up this business, this brand. And how does it come about that people are literally knocking on your door to buy it? So it sounds like you weren't proactively trying to market, hey, I want to sell my business. Like, it just kind of came along organically.
It did. And, in all these years I've been an entrepreneur, I've heard so many stories like this. When you do something well, someone says, you know what, I want to invest in that, or I want to own that, and they buy that out. It happened actually to my aunt, who owned a beautiful bed and breakfast, and someone who stayed there who said, I'm not leaving, I want to buy this place, and she wasn't in the market either. I think when you have integrity, when you are doing something really, really well, people say, I want that. But I'll tell you what happened to me in that scenario. And this goes to my love of systems and why we need systems in our business for 100 reasons. But I had the only part of my marketing strategy was I had the only magazine in New York City that covered everything on entertainment in New York City. There was nothing like that. So the New York Times, they covered a lot of Broadway. That about it,
Oh,
you know?
wow, yeah.
Yeah. So off-Broadway, off-Broadway, comedy, dance, all these hundreds of shows, entertainment things, events, there was no platform for it. And one of the things that I'm really great at is seeing opportunities. And I saw the opportunity thinking, why is everybody putting the eggs in New York Times? Why aren't we creating another platform here? And then the distribution, I got all the distribution into all of the hotels in New York. So now every tourist that came in, they got my magazine and all the shows were there. And so then that drove that whole economy in entertainment. And so as a family, if you're coming with your 5 kids to New York City and all you can afford is one Broadway show, which is the average, now this changed the game because now you can see a couple off-Broadway shows, a couple off-Broadway shows. When I started my magazine, I put this little show that no one knew about, the Blue Man Group. Teeny little show, way tucked down in New York City, no one knew. And I helped really bloom a lot of shows that no other media would ever even touch because it wasn't Broadway. It wasn't celebrity. And I thought there was a lot of gold in that. So they saw, A, I was the only one doing it. B, I had created the systems. So I trained all these shows to send me all of their information so we could list it and review it. We did reviews, we did editorial, we did listings. But it took a year and a half to retrain all of those shows and create a system, a well-oiled system, so that went into our magazine. Again, this is before the internet. So there was a lot of faxing. There's just a lot of, even by mail, So you figure out the systems and become a well-oiled machine. And so when you're trying to create a website, create a website that has all of this, but globally, you need systems, which I already figured out. And I had all those relationships too. So relationships, I had a brand, I had relationships, I had the systems, I had it figured out. And I was the only one doing it. So all of that helped.
Absolutely. And you keep talking about the key is having some of these systems, creating these systems in place to be able to grow and scale and work with, in your case, these strategic partnerships that you've got. And so as entrepreneurs, sometimes we're really good at creating the value of it, creating, the idea, the vision. But then there's this transition between entrepreneur and CEO. We actually have to manage and create systems and processes and put people in the right seats in the bus, so to speak. What does that transition look like? And one of the things that I know you've helped so many entrepreneurs with is kind of that transition from entrepreneur to CEO. What does that look like? And how can you, identify and create these systems?
Yes. So I think it's really important that it's an intentional move. I think we have to stay out of the myth that you have to be in business for 3 or 4 or 5 years, or I have to hit a certain revenue to then become a CEO or call myself a CEO. And what I want to encourage everybody to do is you can start thinking, strategizing, acting, being a CEO way before you put a title to it. It's a way of being way before it is a title. And so mindset is a huge piece of that $1 million mindset. How you think, how you run your meetings, how you run your money, how you are acting around your strategy. When you start thinking and being $1 million CEO, it is very different than $100,000 CEO. Here's a 30-day challenge for everybody. Think and act like $1 million CEO for 30 days. Don't call yourself a CDO. It's just a challenge, a mindset challenge, to think and act like $1 million CEO for 30 days. What it does is it completely elevates and clarifies you. Because as an entrepreneur, we're running around really, really busy. You're probably running, 10 different hats. You're pulled in different directions. There's not a lot of time to actually think about strategy, my next move. What's the system I need to build next? What's the hire I need to hire next? And just being so much more clearer in who you're being and what you're doing is the first step. Clarity, awareness, mindset, that piece. The second piece is how you manage your team. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, we like being buddies with our team. It's fun, whether you have 3 employees or 10, it's especially that startup. I've coached so many startups, and it's like cool. There might be a keg in the corner, like I've been in a lot of startup offices, and it's fun. But what happens is you become one of them and you forget you're the CEO with the vision and the strategy, and you're actually leading this train. So how you're managing, you're going from a good friend to a great leader. And that's what your business needs. You can still be friendly with your team. I'm not saying that, but we've got to add that great leader. And unfortunately, a lot of entrepreneurs, they actually have never had any leadership training or coaching or education. They don't quite even, if you said, give me 10 elements of great leadership, they might say 1 or 2 or 3, right? So that like leading your team with intention, focus, clarity, strategy, having staff meetings with agendas, hiring with intention and skill sets that you need instead of hiring friends. So there's a lot where we can actually move from good. You're doing great, you're doing good already, but let's move to great in our mindset, in our team. And then third would be in strategy. Like, what are you doing? Who are you? What is the strategy we're on right now with this business? What's your 3-month, 6-month, 12-month, 24-month strategy? Where's this train going? And how are you leading that? Not hoping, not wishing, but like leading everything, every choice, how you spend money, how you're, the things that you're doing inside of marketing, inside of systems are all leading the train towards these goals with intention. So those 3 things I would focus to move from good to great: mindset, team, strategy.
Mindset, team, strategy. And as we're creating these systems and now going more into a leadership role, sometimes we start to notice maybe something's not quite right. How do we, make those changes and identify if a system's clearly not working?
That's a really good question. Because I think a lot of people, even listening, we all have systems in our business. No. Otherwise, we'd be doing everything manually, which we can't do. No. So the first thing I do when I go into a business that says, I know we're losing money, I don't quite know where, because we're actually doing good. I just worked with a business in East Coast. They're doing about 25 million. They've been an established business for a while. They're doing fine, but they know they're losing money and they don't know where. And so when I come in and do an audit, the first thing I audit is systems. And the first thing I would ask people to look at is chaos and breakdown. So I have a saying, where there is chaos, there are no systems. So if you have, let's say, your service business and you sell, and then you go to deliver, right, on your service for your client, your new clients. And there's this like really bumpy weirdness in the first month, and it's kind of chaotic, and there's like a little bit of breakdowns, and we're a little bit of a mess, but we get through it and it's fine. That shows me there is not a well-oiled system around onboarding. You have an onboarding system problem. You should go from sale to your 3 or 4 or 5 steps of onboarding. Onboarding, I can't tell you how passionate I am about a well thought out, well-oiled onboarding system. For anybody that has any kind of service at all, you need, even if it's 1 step, sometimes it's not even multiple steps, but let's onboard our clients into our, into your company. What should they expect? What do they need from you? What do you need from them? I remember, as a publicist, anybody in like a marketing agency, graphic design, PR, if you're doing any of that for a client, your onboarding is so important, because you got to get a lot of information and assets from them in that first month. There needs to be a good 30 days just dedicated to onboarding. And I can't tell you how many people just skip that. And they try to dive into the client, like dive into the work, and kind of onboard at the same time, but they don't have this like clear, we have an onboarding system. It's 30 days. This is what we're doing. This is the accomplishment that we want to do in 30 days. This is what we need from you. This is what you need from us. It's a clear system. So that's one way that I look. I look for the breakdowns and I look for the chaos. That's going to show me the lack of a system or a weak system.
I like that. Yeah, the chaos is definitely where it is. You all know where it is that are listening right now in your business. There's some departments, some issues, some area of chaos. Maybe it's in the lead generation and the marketing and not being able to track it. Maybe it's in the actual sales process, and it could absolutely be in the onboarding fulfillment process stage of your business if you're in a service-based type business. And throughout all of this, as the CEO, the entrepreneur, someone who's putting in, like you said, those 14, 15-hour days and beyond, at some point there becomes some issues with potential burnout, with not taking care of yourself as the CEO. And we've all kind of faced that at some point. What are some of the strategies? You've helped so many people. And I think yourself, you've gone through this as well. What are some of the tips to get that self-care right and avoid that burnout?
Absolutely. So I'm very passionate about CEO self-care because I have been coaching entrepreneurs and CEOs for 22 years now. And so many people come to me after something happens. It might be a divorce. It might be a disease of some kind, a heart attack. In my case, it was a minor stroke at 28.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, when you have something major happen in your life, it wakes you up and goes, whoa, 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 something has to change. And then they look for the coach, right? And so one of the things that just integrity is one of my highest values. And I love building and scaling businesses. And I love getting people's stories and services and products out in the world and helping people win. But I will not do it at the stake of their health or their marriage or their children or the things that, are important to them. And sometimes we are in an illusion, a myth around, oh, it's just for a week or it's a month or just a couple of months. I'm going to be in this really, hard time. That might be true, but most of the time it's not. It's for a year or two. So we want to tell ourselves the truth of like, whoa, I'm working 15 hours a day, and this is month 6 of this, or 2 years of this. So honesty and telling on ourselves of like, before something happens, I've got to course correct this. So The thing I like is creating a CEO self-care plan, daily, weekly, monthly. And I'm not talking about, oh, I get a massage once a month and I'm good to go. We wouldn't say that about a shower. I take one shower for the month and I'm good to go. Why are you doing it with your mind, body, and spirit? Our mind, body, and spirit is the fuel, the creativity, the innovation, the leadership of this business. But you're treating it with just carelessly, right? Instead of intentionally. So when I'm working on system strategy and marketing strategy, I also put a self-care strategy in there. I think it's just as important, because if we lose the CEO, I had a client, I have so many stories about whether it's clients or clients' executive teams that have gotten sick. And I'm talking 30s and 40s. We're not talking 60s or 70s. In my case, 20s. But I want to just encourage people. One, you're worth it. Two, you are the most important thing to your business. And if you don't have daily, weekly, monthly self-care for your mind, your body, and your spirit, you are ripping your business off, your investors off, your clients off, because you're not your best. I'm all about your best self, your greatness self. That's where I'm trying to coach people into their greatest self, their greatest leadership. And you can't do that when you're exhausted, getting 4 hours of sleep, drinking every day, partying, not honoring your marriage. Now your marriage is falling apart, and now your home life. What kind of CEO? I don't know about you, but I'm married to a federal agent. I have a daughter who's super busy. I have tons of friends. My life with my church, my friends, my network. Like, I have a lot of social. And if that's all cracking because my marriage is falling apart, or I'm sick, or I just had a stroke, then how is that going to relay into my business? It's going to impact it poorly. And so here's a distinction. The smallness side of ourselves, our smallness mindset says, I'm fine, I'm good. I'm actually fine with 4 hours of sleep. I'm good with drinking every day. It works for me, right? All these things that justify our behavior that actually, when you look at it, it's pulling you off of your greatness and your innovation and your creativity and your leadership. And I want you to play a greatness game where your highest version of yourself. What if our highest version of ourselves was leading our business every single day? Different business, scaling like that, revenue like that. It's just a different game. And we're always winning the game we're playing. And if you're playing a smallness game, you're winning. Sometimes it does feel like winning, but you're just winning the wrong game.
Yeah, no question. And there's so many important value bombs that Dena just dropped on us, guys, but a lot of it is just focusing on getting things in order. And for me personally, I know it's utilizing that calendar, right? That Google Calendar on your phone, and mapping out, what am I doing this morning, to take care of my body? What am I doing to take care of my mind? What podcast or book am I reading that I'm getting the right mindset? And what am I learning from someone like Dena? Maybe I should be involved in one of her programs. And then I go into and I attack with intentionality my business. And at the end of the day, there's something else for me. I got to go coach my son's football team. I've got to get ready for that. And then if you're not mapping out your sleep schedule, I mean, that's a way to get run down very quickly and fall apart. And then you're going to let everything fall at that point. So just so many value bombs that Dena dropped for us right there. And, at this point, Dena, I think the audience is listening and learning so much. And they're thinking, well, how can I actually implement this, go a little bit deeper? Where can they start and where can they connect up with you to kind of take that next step? And what are the opportunities where they could work with someone like you and your team? I mean, you've helped so many entrepreneurs actually become CEOs, create value in their business, but not just the business, get their whole life in order. So what's the next step that they can take?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a couple free low cost ways. One, if you really are ready to shift your self-care piece, I just want to give you a free template. Go to amazinggreatness.com and just download my free template. That is a free way today. Now, if you were a client, it's a mandatory. You have to have a self-care plan if you worked with me. But I want to give you this free so you can do it on your own. Fill in the daily, weekly, monthly, and it's a little accountability template. So amazinggreatness.com there. And then my book, $10. And it will help you shift any smallness that is just lingering in your leadership, your mindset, your strategy. And it'll help you start to make moves over to playing greatness games. So the greatness game is over at Amazon. Just put it into the search, $10, the easiest thing that you can do to start tomorrow. And then you set up a consultation with me on my schedule. It's right on my website, Dena Patton, Dena Patton, Patton.com. And set up a consultation. We can talk through what are the struggles in your business? What are the goals? My biggest thing is helping people like dream bigger, much bigger than they're already dreaming, and getting them there. So we can talk, see if we're fit to work together. If not, I have great referrals. If so, I'll, share with you how we can work together. But thank you for having me, because I just love, all the conversation that we had about systems. Don't forget about the sales system, onboarding system. Two of the most important systems you need in your business is get those done. Self-care, mindset, all my favorite stuff. So thank you for great questions and some of my favorite conversations.
Guys, as always, we end these podcasts with action. This is not a passive learning podcast where we learn cool things and we don't do anything about it. We must take action. So make sure you guys go to Dena Patton. That's DenaPatton.com, DenaPatton.com. She's got those amazing downloads. Her book is very affordable. It's got a bunch of 5-star reviews on Amazon. The Greatness Game, I'm downloading it right now, and I'm going to get a physical copy as well. Take action, learn more, and then, my goodness, are you kidding me? You can actually do a free consultation with someone like Dena, who's built empires before. I mean, the beginning of her career, she goes from 0 to 70,000 members and subscribers, with that company she built and sold. And from there, the last 2 decades, she's been helping entrepreneurs become CEOs and create businesses of value, get your life in order. So take action. Go to DenaPatton.com. And Dena, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Are you looking for more 7-figure secrets, content, or even how you can launch your own recession-proof business? Then check out 7figures.com. That's the digit 7, FIGURES.com, where we share more videos, stories, strategies, funding solutions, entrepreneurial education, and even the secret business type that's recession-proof. Thank you for listening, and if you're finding value in our podcast, please give us a 5-star and invite others to join the club.